This is the first day that the basswood has started blooming. It's also known as the linden tree. They're one of the North American, northern hemisphere, indigenous to the entire northern world. Just like I believe honeybees are, regardless of what somebody recently wrote about 40 years ago. The honeybees are all over this Linden Basswood tree, and I've got several others that the honeybees will be on, but they haven't opened yet. The problem with the basswood is that the blooms are delicate. They hang very thinly, and when the wind blows, it's hard for the bees to work them. See, they're just now starting to open up, and this is what they hang from. They hang from these long, very, very light green panicles, and they just dangle there. They smell very fragrant, and this tree is not widely planted, and it's not very common anywhere. There's no place that I know of where there's literally forests of them. They should be planted, but they're not very much. I don't know anyone who's ever planted one. I've never seen one in a house in the city. I protect everyone that comes up the best I can. The bees were not getting any nectar at all, and I actually was feeding them yesterday and the day before, but I saw that the basswood was about to bloom, and I knew I needed to stop feeding so they could take advantage of this. And they are. The whole tree is humming with bees. I see bumblebees and butterflies, but most everything on it is honeybees, because the honeybee has a symbiotic relationship with the linden trees, and it pollinates them. The tree only blooms for about a week. It's generally in the end of May and throughout June. But my trees will all for sure be done blooming by June 15th. So it's a short flow, but it's a heavy flow. They'll fill up their boxes, and they will make a lot of wax comb from it, and it'll last them, hopefully, till we get more rain. And you'll see this tree here is in full bloom already. It's already in full bloom. Full bloom. But meanwhile, the tree next door to it, which is good, is not in bloom yet. See? It's completely still. The buds are not open. This giant tree is 150 feet tall. This one's not blooming yet. The reason I like that is because the short bloom will be ending on this tree just when this one wakes and starts blooming, which will help the bees prolong their harvesting of the nectar so they can get a good crop. Basswoods are sensitive little trees because they are subject to wind, and right now it's very windy today, and the wind makes the flowers shake because they hang, and that disturbs the pollinators. And if it rains, it'll basically ruin the crop. See, there's a honeybee and there's bumblebee side by side eating the nectar. The bumblebee chased the honeybee away, but it's not a problem. Honeybees found other places to go. But I think they should plant a lot more basswoods. Everybody ought to have a basswood. The wood is very light, so if they actually fall when they're dead, they don't really do any damage. They sort of turn into like a sponge before they fall, if they die. And Their bark was used for cordage, and I think their Latin name is Tilia cordata for the cordage that they have. And they used them in ships to stuff in the crevices to prevent water leaking. And that's what they called bast with a T, but this is known as basswood. But that's in a book that I read long ago. But the tree is absolutely 100% the most beautiful tree I've ever seen. And it is just magnificent. I'm backing up, but do you see those blooms on that tree? All the way from the bottom to the tip, it's hanging in blooms. Just hanging in them. That's the basswood. And see, there'd be a lot more bees on it right now, but the sky has, you can see the sun is under, it's behind a canopy of, well, it's a fog that came from pollution from aircraft. They flew over here back and forth and made a grid pattern, and now there's this haze over us, and the sun can't get through it because of the aircraft. But bees don't like to fly whenever it's very hazy or cloudy or windy. But it doesn't matter, this basswood is so delicious to them that they're just covering it anyway. The sun is up there. You can barely see it behind that. That's how thick this pollution layer is that the airplanes have laid down. That's about all I have to say about this, and I'm putting thumbs and fingers in the screen. This new phone that I have, it's harder to make videos with it.